So there was a funny thing that was going around Twitter the other day. There's a little clip of a black woman, a sub-Saharan African woman, talking about a sub-Saharan African philosopher.
What?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's not that does
What's the
exist.
thing?
That's not an oxymoron.
Oh, okay. All right.
And the philosophy was essentially that that the future sort of doesn't really exist, even like conceptually, and so there's no point really doing anything or creating things. I mean, maybe if we actually watch the clip, you'll see the insanity of it. I just thought it was worth drawing some attention to because it was sort of,
Okay.
doing the rounds on Twitter, and it's sort of so funny, but also very revealing. Run VT.
All right. Okay. All right. This is new to me. I'll be racked into this in real time.
What if I told you that for many African societies, the concept of the future doesn't exist, and that instead of time moving forwards, time actually moves backwards? This was the work of John Mbiti, one of Kenya's and Africa's greatest philosophers. And in 1969, he wrote something that completely reimagines the way we think of African time. Mbiti says time is a two-dimensional phenomenon with a long past, vibrant present, and virtually no future. Using Swahili words, he describes the two dimensions of time. The first one being sasa, the now, the recent past, and the immediate future, which can be experienced. The second dimension is zamani. Zamani is the vast, endless past where all events eventually go on to live forever. But the future in African thought, it barely exists because time is made up of events. Time has to be experienced in order to be real. So because we can't conceptualize events tied to the distant future because they haven't been experienced yet, then therefore the future cannot constitute part of time. And this is why, according to Mbiti, African languages, at least the East African Bantu languages that he studied, don't have a word to describe the distant future. In African time, according to Mbiti, events create time. Seasons, ceremonies, a conversation, those moments produce time, and people produce as much time as they need. An example that Mbiti uses from the communities that he studied is that a year is measured based on 4 seasons, 2 dry seasons, 2 wet seasons. So a year is only over when those 4 seasons have taken place. So a year could take 365 days, 390 days. It doesn't matter the number of days in a year. What matters is that the 4 seasons have taken place. And this is in contrast to the Western view towards time, where time is a commodity, something that can be spent, saved, wasted, or lost. And according to Mbiti, this is why if foreigners come to Africa and they see people sitting under a tree, they would remark that, okay, why are these people wasting so much time? But in African thought, that sitting under a tree, it's not wasting time. It's either waiting for time or producing time. For me, I think this Western idea of time as a commodity is what drives this Western obsession of progress, development, and some promised future. And this difference shapes everything from politics, economics, to how we live our daily lives. Because in African thought, the golden age isn't in the future, it's actually in the Zamani. According to Mbiti, the future is only a shadow until it comes to the present, and then it flows into the Zamani. So in that way, time moves backwards. We are not the ones who move forward into time. So of course, Mbiti wrote this from a theological point of view because he was trying to explain the nature of African religion. But my main takeaway from the parts of the book that I've read is that unlike Western cultures and religions with end of the world myths, African time has no end. Seasons, years, birth, marriage, death, it's all a cycle. Asante kwa kutazama, tafakari hayo, and I'll see you in the next video.
So completely retarded on multiple levels, completely backward, and people were just ripping the piss out of it. And I mean, you can see what I wrote. That's actually my tweet there, isn't it? I've forgotten I'd actually sent you the link literally of my tweet. But yeah, I also say that, right? So this is it's sort of there's so many angles of attack on this, isn't there? But it's just so dumb. But what it ultimately is like, there's no need to have any thought for the morrow, right? There's no need to actually build anything. There's no need to sort of conceptualize big projects going into the future. There's no need to sort of maintain things you already have, because the future is just not really a particularly real thing. And if anything, wait, what retarded thing can I think of? If anything, we're moving backwards in time. Yeah, so I'll just sit under this tree then. There's no need to do anything. The other thing, and all sorts of philosophies, I know it's stupid, all sorts of philosophies suffer from this, I think. Even the greats, even like some of like Hegel, or something. It's kind of nonsense. It's kind of nonsense. They'll set up an argument which like seems to have a logic to it, and then extrapolate out a conclusion from that. But it's just nonsense. It's just sophistry, right? This means this, which leads to this, which therefore ergo must mean this. And it's like, no, it's just sophistry. You're just talking nonsense now, right? And I just think this is a classic example of that.
But mate, move over Plato, move over Galileo, Socrates, be damned, mate.
Well, there was a whiff of Plato in there, wasn't there? That the future is just a shadow, and it's not really real.
Oh my God! I mean, there are so many layers to this, isn't there? I mean, where do you start? To say that, well, you know, if you go to Africa and you see people sitting under a tree, they're doing that because they're not experiencing time. That's just, I mean, it's pure nonsense. To say that in the West,
they're waiting for time, or they're
waiting for time to happen.
Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, waiting for time to happen or something like that. I mean, it's just pure nonsense. Time only occurs in an experience. It's like, right. And in the West, time is a commodity that can be spent. Well, actually, I've long said this, time is actually the most valuable asset a human has. It is so rare, your time, you know, because once it's spent, you will never get it back. I mean, it's such a profound way of looking at your time with an inherent value. Other people can value their time in any way, shape, or form, but it holds you accountable, viewing your time in that way as the most valuable asset you have, because then you don't spend it on absolute retards like this and losers and morons, and you do things with your time that has a sense of purpose and worth. You know, you have more to show for your time using it like that, because time, I mean, to me, it's an inarguable fact that your time is the most inherently valuable thing that you have. You know, you don't get it back. You can't trade in. You can't trade in your time in the way that she's implying it either. I mean, this is just it's so nonsense. There's so much to say about this. It's painful.
I know. She talk about how it's sort of wrong or just like Western or something to think of time as a commodity. No, that's valuable to think of it as a commodity. It absolutely is. And it's finite. It's a finite commodity. And what's more, it's almost certainly later than you think.
Yeah.
So it is certainly finite. And so to just flitter it away on nothing. And how revealing is it? How revealing is it? The reason why, like, the oldest communities on the earth are from the East African Rift Valley, right? The oldest peoples, if you like, are in Africa, and not the oldest civilizations, depending on how historians categorize what constitutes a civilization or whatever. But the oldest ones are in Africa. So why are there countries, let's be honest, such shitholes, right? And largely haven't even mastered roads or road maintenance a lot of the time. In the old colonial countries, they've just allowed all their infrastructure to just rot away. Why is that? Why is that? Well, nonsense like this, isn't it? Nonsense like this. That you're not capable, like the very concept of, like, you know, sort of the Protestant work ethic, which isn't actually, you know, working hard isn't a purely Protestant thing, of course, but, you know, working hard, building for the future, conceptualizing something far in the future, a project that might take even centuries, you know, like building a cathedral that might take many, many generations, and then building the tools, fashioning the very tools themselves to do it, and then doing it, right? Hardly any of that, none of that, since the dawn of humans.
Couldn't possibly do that, man. Couldn't possibly do that because time moves backwards.
No, that's a white concept of time. I mean, it's embarrassing.
Yeah,
right? It's for them. It's embarrassing. Yeah. Well, they're not. I was going to say they must be embarrassed by it, but obviously they're not. Obviously they're not.
Oh, so absurd. So absurd.